My name is Zach Montgomery. I'm the founder of War on Retail. This podcast is built by Liquidation, a reseller podcast intended to educate resellers in liquidation and beyond. Today we have Anthony Wargo. Uh, Give us your business name, how long you've been in the business, Anthony, and just a brief history of kind of what you do inside of liquidation.
Yeah, sure. My company is Second Wave Wholesale and Liquidation. I've been in the space for just under 4 years now. Started off with one of the major contract holders for Walmart originally. Basically, when I was there, it was selling truckloads of returns, GM, all that good stuff. JC Penney, Bass Pro Shop. And then also my forte when I was there was selling refurbished products, mainly computers, selling about $3.5 million of computers worldwide every month while I was there.
Wow.
And now I've transitioned. I started my own company back in October and just mainly broker in truckloads and other deals and just trying to just trying to educate customers on a lot of things that are going on in the market and trying to help people be successful because it's always evolving and changing. So now it's really trying to set people up for success. And it's a tough industry, to be completely honest.
Yeah. No, one thing we've been kind of promoting lately is, we want customers to deal with educators and not necessarily just brokers. The typical broker, if you ask a question about a truck or at least the quality of the truck, their go-to is, it's been great. No complaints yet. And, then you're the customer, you get the truck and you get the one truck that has the complaint. So I push
Yeah.
people, if your broker's not educating you on the product, asking questions like, "Hey, where do you sell?" before we sell you this product, does the product actually work for the outlet you're trying to sell in? It might be time to find someone else. Um,
No, I
is a
agree
good
with you
broker.
wholeheartedly on that. I can't even tell you how many deals from being honest,
Yeah.
where there's a lot of people out there that'll sell you a truckload to make $500 and not care about the ramifications of selling you that load, knowing damn well that the load is not going to work for you and is going to be detrimental to your business.
I mean, this has been off 100% off topic from what I was initially trying to get to, but I've loved it. This is what I think a lot of people need to hear. And so it's been super insightful. The reason for our meeting today is to talk about mystery boxes. So we've staying on the brokered side of things. Before we get into anything super interesting about mystery boxes, at least. Um, are you selling raw mystery box trucks at the moment? If you are, what kind of volume you see in, and what's the overall customer feedback? And then where are most of these people selling the boxes? I've got guys that just dump the box right in the bins. I've got some guys that are still selling the box as a raw mystery box.
So I'm privy to the mystery boxes. To be
Mhm.
completely honest with you, I don't sell a lot of
Okay.
mystery boxes. The main the main person I work with is Austin at Porch Pirates
Okay.
because it's straightforward what he's doing. You know what you're getting. He's telling you exactly what's going to be in there. You know that the boxes aren't going to be empty, which is
Yep.
another huge issue with Amazon boxes coming with nothing in them, one item, things like that. So a lot of the issues you're seeing with the boxes, I try to stay away from them. I've had a lot of issues with loads coming in and then the boxes being different sizes, them not having anything. And this is Amazon mainly.
Correct.
So I stay away from them because for me to sell a $16,000 load to somebody where I'm making $500,
Hmm.
I don't want to deal with it. The
Yeah.
suppliers aren't going to do anything to fix those boxes with nothing in them. All you're going to hear is that's just the way it comes. And, eh,
Exactly. Which
you
is
know,
which is to be fair to the supplier, it is the truth, right? Like
yeah,
Amazon's not curating a box. Their goal isn't for you to sell it to a random customer for $50. Amazon is packaging it that way because to them, for whatever reason, that's the cost effective.
yep.
So for anybody that's watching and that doesn't understand the difference, we have your raw Amazon boxes that you get with the Amazon tape come straight from the facility. It's just FC or LPN, randomly put in a box by Amazon. We've mentioned Porch Pirates, which is a custom curated mystery box company specifically selling mystery boxes. So from what I understand, and I talked to Austin over there a lot, his goal with the boxes, and I like his kind of theory on the box. He's not selling necessarily; he's selling an experience to the customer, which is really
Exactly.
important. A lot of people in the beginning when they started seeing curated boxes come onto the market, kind of shat on them because, oh, why would you
Oh,
want a
yeah.
picked over cherry picked box? And I'm like, you're looking at it wrong. Like he's not
Yeah.
selling a reseller option; he is selling a customer experience where they have the potential to hit big and win, one of his, I forget what he calls them, but like high end items,
Yeah.
PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, whatever. So we've seen, a lot of curated boxes now come onto the market since, I mean, people have always built mystery boxes, I feel like, but the last 6 to 7 months since, he's come onto the scene and, posted and, promoted his product, we've seen a lot of other people you know, also put forth their product. We've seen similar people with the hits in them. We've also seen, and this is kind of where I want your opinion. We've seen people come out with, for lack of a better word, I don't know how to categorize that. You have your Amazon box, which is raw from Amazon. We've got the Amazon tape that Amazon puts on the box. To be straightforward with everybody, Amazon puts that tape on there. That's how they package it. Austin at Porch Pirates, he has tape. It is Porch Pirates branded tape. That is his company's tape. We have seen boxes come on the market that are TikTok, Sheen, however you say it. Still 10 years later, still don't know how to say it. Target, Apple, with those companies' logos on them that, to my understanding, don't come from those companies. I don't know if you've seen that or if you have an opinion on that. Either way, I'd love
Yeah.
to know.
I think I've seen it, and I just I'm baffled that those products are being put onto the market with them not being authentic from those suppliers.
Yeah.
So they're being built, and people are taking I've heard people get in these Target boxes without even Target product in it. So that's interesting, you
You're the
know?
second person. We had someone on 2 days ago, Jamie Tharp, and the video will probably get released around the same time as this one, said the same thing. I mean, as a consumer, we had her on, and as a consumer, she was, she tried a Target box, or had friends that tried them, and that's what baffled me. I was like, the bar for that's pretty low. Those Target high piece pallets that that get sold all over the Facebook page would be I think a great mystery box for people. But I just can't get over what you just said, which is it sounds like those boxes don't always
Yeah.
contain Target
And
items.
I've just heard it from some people, to be completely honest. I've never touched them. I don't sell them. So
Yeah,
this is all from second parties. But I mean, it's a very misleading thing because you think that you're getting a load, um, like an Amazon box where it's coming from Amazon, but you get this TikTok box. Well, TikTok didn't make this box.
yeah,
So you're being promoted as a TikTok box, which really has nothing to do with TikTok and may or may not have TikTok product on it.
correct.
So it's very it's shady. I don't really know how this whole craze started and what's going on, but I don't know. It just seems very deceitful to be promoting products like that are just not genuine.
For sure. So, well, it's 100%. It's shady. It's definitely like it's not the best practice. But when we got into the business, one thing that we were told from the jump, and I don't remember who told us. Kim over at Warehouse Ones, where we bought our first few truckloads. Uh, but we were always told to abbreviate retailers' names. I think in 15 years, I've only ever had one cease and desist sent to me, and it was from Kohl's. We had forgotten on our website to put, to abbreviate Kohl's, and they sent us a letter, and we fixed it. Obviously, you had worked for a pretty large company in the liquidation space, working directly with some of these retailers. What do you think retailers are going to think if and when at some point I mean it's going to get on their radar? I have to believe that Target's going to find out at some point that these boxes are being sold with their logos taped on them. Since
Yeah.
you have a little bit of experience with working with these retailers directly, what do you think
Well,
happens with all of this?
I think the big thing is that they're all gonna be hit with cease and desists. But I think the big issue is, like, the major corporations aren't gonna necessarily go after you unless they really need to
Yeah.
do something about it. I mean, after you get a cease and desist, if you continue, then, you definitely deserve to be sued by them. I think the big issue is if enough people that bought these boxes come together and come after for a class action lawsuit. Because imagine if you were the one selling Target boxes and I don't know, say you made $100,000 and now you got 150 of your previous customers coming back with a class action lawsuit to get a
Mhm.
refund for all those boxes. You're gonna, you know what I mean? You're gonna be out a ton of money, and that's gonna be an interesting situation if that happens too. Um,
Okay, so
y-
you're more thinking that I mean, it's coming, right? I mean, I've talked to enough people that something is coming, and so my original thought, and this is why I'm really super, grateful you came on, was I thought it would more come from a retailer angle. What you're saying is you think the consumers will have felt or are feeling scammed essentially because they're promised a Target box, use
yes.
the Target logo, where I think it's safe to say as a consumer, I can make the assumption that Target made this box if their logo is attached to it, and I don't have Target product in my box. That is essentially what everybody they wanna say scam, scam, scam. This would almost it not almost, it probably does qualify as a scam, and so you're saying these people have the right to come together and
Oh yeah.
file a suit.
It's highly unethical and completely illegal. You're promoting a product that's not legitimate and you're telling everyone it's a Target thing. Yeah, it might have Target product in it, but it didn't come from Target. So you're also illegally using the brand name to promote a product that it's like me getting a pair of white shoes and sticking a Nike swoosh on it and be like, "Hey, I got Nike shoes for sale." And you know
100%,
what I mean? So it's just a facade and I feel like there's enough people that are pissed off. And from what I've been seeing, there's a lot of people pissed off about these boxes and just knowing that they were basically sold something that wasn't legit, just unethical practices by people out there in liquidation.
yeah.
It
No,
just seems
definitely
like
misled,
seems like people got this bright idea but didn't really think it through. So I don't know exactly what'll happen, if anything, but for me personally, I just think it's shady practice and it gives liquidation a bad name in general when people are doing stuff like that.
for sure. No, it's dangerous to be using anybody's logo that's not yours. I mean, we all, if we the Nike example is the perfect one. I think everybody can resonate with. We all know it's not ethical to slap a Nike logo on our pair of white shoes and try to, I mean, do that in the industry, right? And obviously, people are going to say, "Well, I can't buy counterfeit Nike shoes. That, I can't sell those on eBay." It goes the same for the boxes. It would be one thing, and I think the proper way to still sell the product, if people wanted to, is I can sell a mystery box of Target merchandise. I think that is more than fair. I can put the product from Target in a box. I can put my logo on it, and I can tell people, "Hey, there's Target merchandise in this box." That's essentially what we do with pallet sales. We say, "Hey,
Yep.
they're Target pallets." I can say it's a Target mystery box. I just can't put the logo on there
Yeah.
and pretend that whether you mean to or not, that's what the customers are feeling is, "Okay, that's a Target bot. I know that logo. I know the bullseye logo, from anywhere." I mean, it's everybody's I mean, at least it's in my family, the women, that's their favorite store. They know that logo better than anything else. So,
No,
okay, that's an
100%.
interesting
And that's yeah, I think it's a major issue right now. And I think in liquidation we need a lot more transparency and honesty to protect the customers because a lot of people are getting shafted, they're getting ripped off, and it gives liquidation in general a bad taste in people's mouths. And then, just going back on brokers, same thing with them as well. In my situation, brokers have a bad reputation because of people doing shady things in the industry. I think that the big thing now is I think more people need to be outspoken about
mhm,
these devious practices that are going on, make people aware and educate people to keep themselves protected from a bad situation. And I think that's where I stand and really the line would fight for, you know?
For sure. I think especially now, buyer education, I think it's gonna get more and more important. I think we're seeing, a lot of product dry up, and I think we're seeing a lot of retailers are getting better on their side about how they process their returns. And so, people are complaining about load quality and how Walmart's changed. Obviously, they're going to keep changing. I would imagine they wanna see less returns make it into liquidation because they make more money if they keep it out of our hands,
Yeah.
which I think what's gonna happen and what I think we're seeing happen is, the purse strings are getting tighter for people. It's harder and harder to make money, so everybody I don't say everybody, but a lot of people in the industry are having to cut corners they wouldn't necessarily have cut before. When we started, a 4-foot high piece count pallet was a 4-foot 40 by 48 by 48. That's what it was. And then today, fast forward, it's a different Gaylord. Now it's an octagon. It's triple
Yeah,
wall.
it's
You got to ask
42
how thick the
inches.
thing is,
Yeah. Yep.
which is, as a broker, I can't, I always, it sucks, right? Because I got it, I got, well, it's an octagon, when someone asks and I'm like, it's an octagon. And it's always a little bit harder to sell because they want the four walls to get more product. So I think,
Yeah, and it's interesting too because I have a customer that's in a different situation. They have to bring in the pallets through their front door. So they
mm,
prefer the octagons because they're easier to maneuver.
yeah.
So, and that's the thing. I wouldn't have known that if I didn't ask them the questions
It
and
is
found out to give them.
if you
So,
weren't willing to say up front, "Hey, these are octagons," because a lot of guys, you hate to say it because like we all know, right? Like the octagon holds less product, and so it's always to me whenever we got offered a program that was octagons, I was always like, it's gonna be harder for me to sell these people because that is the first question that gets asked, and a lot of guys do want the squares because it's more product. But that's a great point. That's why it's important to be up front because that guy
yeah.
needed the octagons for his space.
And then another thing too, the other side of that sword is, okay, you're gonna get the octagons, but the octagons are cheaper. So if you have a
Mhm.
customer that as is at a certain price point and can't afford a full load of 4-footers,
Yep.
well, then the 42-inch Gaylords might be a better option because it'll fit their price range too.
Correct.
Instead of going for the 4-footers, which may be 150, $175 more a Gaylord.
Yeah, we can find some stuff that's more affordable. No, I mean, I think the theme, as much as it's supposed to be about mystery boxes, the theme is buyer education because it's listening to what your buyer wants and finding what they need versus what you have readily at hand. You know, that's just a great point. I mean, it's a way to turn a negative into a big positive because in on my side coming in, I looked at octagons, traditionally as a negative, but it does fit that buyer price point that we're seeing a lot more people. I don't know if you're seeing it, but we were seeing it towards the end of us selling liquidation truckloads. It seems like the bin store clients are needing cheaper product more so than they ever did before. They can't
Yeah,
afford to necessarily one to buy the raw truck, which I always push my bin store clients not to buy the raw product because there's a lot of stuff they can't use in there anyway. They can't use food, clothing. They really can't use the high end. Most of them, they just want to be able to dump the product. So, the processed
honestly,
product is better.
that's a whole huge shift I've been noticing with bin stores now too, is it's not advantageous for a bin store to go spend $24,000 on an LPN load
Mhm.
when they're getting about $6,000 or 6,000 units on the load and they're at, I don't know, say about $2 a unit or more,
That'd be
$3
4.
a unit,
That'd
or
be
more.
yeah, I mean, the last time someone did the math for me, he had processed a load well, I had processed a load for him, I had processed the clothing out, and he was trying to decide how much to sell, like, per unit, the LPN to a customer, he's like, "About $3 a piece." I was like, "God, that seems really high." He's like,
Yeah.
"Well, a 5-foot Gaylord has about 350 pieces in it. That's about $1,000 today, market price. That's about $3 a unit that these people are paying for LPN product." And yeah, this is a whole nother conversation about like bin stores and, are they actually super profitable? And, there's a lot of debate, I
Yeah.
think, on how profitable these stores
They
are.
so the change I've seen is now that those high-end LPN loads, depending on what kind of bin store it is,
Mhm.
a lot of bin stores don't have the capacity to bring in those loads because the price that they're investing in it doesn't work unless they're able to bring in cheaper loads to blend in it. What I've been
Correct.
seeing a lot more is that auction houses are bringing in the LPN loads. They're processing off all the higher value stuff. And then you're getting those LPN loads that have everything processed off over $60,
Yeah,
which I'm seeing a lot more bin stores taking those in. And then they're going out and finding 4 or 5 pallets of higher end stuff that they could blend into it, which tends to be a better business model now if you don't have the capacity to bring in 2 truckloads at a time to blend together.
for sure. No, I think that's a fair point. When we first started selling bin store trucks, I always told my customers, like, if you can sell FC in your bin store, and you can keep your customers content with buying that, like, lower value product, you'd be way better off. A lot of guys, jump in, they want, the iPads and the laptops, and they want all that. I understand, like, the thrill of having those items in there, and, it's good to have some of that, but at the end of the day, you're running a business, you need to worry about your bottom line, and a lot of
Yeah.
these, it's a lot of people are just concerned about how they look online, and, they wanna be the biggest and the best, and sometimes biggest and best isn't necessarily the best, and a lot of times stay small, watch your margins, um, and just make money. You don't have to be flashy. You don't like the guys that are making the most money typically aren't the flashiest guys. Um,
The people making the most money are the ones that are quiet and they're not you don't hear much from them
100%.
because, like you said, the louder you are, the more I question how
How
strong your
successful, yeah,
statements
you're
are.
actually yeah, 100%.
Because if you
Well,
gotta boast about something, it's like, man, you either got a disorder or, like, you're trying to compensate for something.
100%. Yeah. No, the loudest guys, there's usually something going on down there, or not down there, but there's usually something going on when you got to be loud and you got to be, or you just have to be the best. There's a lot of, you don't have to be the best. There's no one the best in this industry. Like we're all, at the end of the day, I tell people, like, you can be the best if you want, but we're all selling shit. At the end of the day, we are selling crap. I mean, it's quality crap. Don't get me wrong. I sell some beautiful quality merchandise, but it's all crap. At the end of the day, it all goes to the landfill, or we're saving it today from making it. We're delaying, the inevitable uh, route to the landfill. But we're all here selling. We're all selling crap, and there's no one selling crap better than you or better than me. We're all selling the same stuff. There's no need. There's no need to be the best and be loud about it.
No, I mean, just be humble. Be humble,
Be
make your
humble is a good
money,
word.
enjoy life. You got one life to live, so go out there, enjoy it, whatever it is that makes you happy,
Yep.
and, just try to be
Be
honest.
humble, and my suggestion to people is don't upgrade your lifestyle when, you're on an uptick in this business,
Oh,
because that
100%.
uptick doesn't it doesn't
It
last. I
doesn't
told
last.
people when the bin store craze hit, right after COVID, and everybody was just prices were cheap, or right, I guess before COVID, prices were cheap. It was money was flowing. My suggestion is always, hey, pull it out when it's a good, when the times are good. And a lot of guys, right before COVID, where everybody's investing in more space and more overhead, and these change, or after COVID, I guess I should say, the industry just blew up with COVID. And I think guys that got in right in the COVID era were used to this, like, you could sell anything. Like,
Yeah.
didn't matter how crappy the load was, there was a buyer for it. I mean, if it was under $5,000, I mean, it was out the door. I couldn't keep it. I think a lot of guys were expecting that, like, that COVID, trajectory to stay, and we're seeing it, plateau and even dip a little bit, I think, right now. And a lot of guys are hurting because they've invested all this capital and overhead, and bigger spaces, and more employees, and
And I think part of that too is the retailers got smart.
mhm.
Back when COVID was happening, there was no control of what was going out. They were putting PlayStations, Xboxes, TV, this,
Yep.
that. You were getting the cream of the crop when it was going out. And then they went back and they saw what was happening in
Yep.
liquidation and they're like, that's interesting. Why are we selling this PlayStation for $5 when we could bring it in, refurbish it, and sell it for
Yep.
75% of retail? And that was the major shift that happened with the great success of liquidation. It brought the eyes of all the retailers on
Mhm.
liquidation, and they're like, oh, interesting. And now you see it. I saw your post about Kohl's, or what was it,
Staples.
Kohl's or
Coles and
Staples that
Staples.
brought it, yeah, and they're doing the bin stores, And I think that's a major concern we got to be thinking about in the future is, okay, what if Target does decide to do mystery boxes? What
It
if
wouldn't be
Target,
that I asked someone, that's big in Amazon. I said, what's stopping Amazon from putting a little tab on their website that says mystery box and selling it for $49.99 and
yep,
just I mean, it would be over. It would be over overnight if that
yeah,
happened. And I mean, not to say it will happen, not to say that's the route that Amazon wants to take, but these retailers are seeing that that liquidation is an issue for them right now. Like they're really taking note. I feel like we can see Home Depot made a big change where they really changed their return policy on gas tools. If there's any gas in it, they won't take it back. We're seeing these people tighten up on the returns. I think it's going to continue to get worse. And I think people in the industry need to start, you know, you have to adapt and you have to go ahead and plan for the future because the future's coming. Whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10, it is coming. I don't know what it looks like, but I do know that it looks like less product on our side for sure.
no, 100%. And that's the thing, always evolving, finding the new niches, finding what's working and trying to stay on top of that curve. And then also having the foresight to see where that market's going to be shifting. So you could also shift with it and not be left behind and then miss that opportunity when it comes.
100%. Well, I've taken up way more of your time than I intended. My goal was always 30 minutes for people. It's always hard to get people online to do this, and I appreciate it. I mean, there's a lot that I think we could talk about. I think we had, just I enjoyed just talking to you. So hopefully people can feel that through the screen. I think, you add a lot of value. It sounds like you're definitely on the same page with me when it comes to buyer education. I think anybody that's watching that needs loads needs to contact you. Second Wave Wholesale. Is that right?
Second Wave Wholesale and Liquidation,
Perfect.
based out of Aventura, Florida. And yeah, no, things are going
Awesome.
good, man. We just if there's any takeaway from this, I would just say really just educate yourselves in this business. Try and ask the right questions, learn, talk to multiple people, kind of get a vibe for, people that are just trying to force feed you something than to somebody
Yep.
that's really trying to help you be successful.